Okay, here we are. Fucking soggy evening up in studio 48th floor. I'm with my main man, One Ball Berry.
One ball bearing or one
And
ball
we're
berry?
One Ball Berry, and we're gonna talk about bullying.
Yeah, bullying's a pretty serious thing.
Yeah.
I remember like back in, when I first started going to Holly Elementary, I got bullied by two of the meanest fucking people out there. Garnet Blondo and Colin Moore.
Ah.
Yeah. And fuck, Garnet was relentless. Like relentless.
Oh,
Like,
really?
He was relentless at bullying me. Like he beat me up every day.
So
And
is
I was
that
scared.
why, like, I just felt an animosity between you two all the way growing up? I always felt that animosity.
No,
between
there
you.
was no more animosity.
Not animosity.
I'll get to
There
it.
was a little bit, like just a little bit, and it wasn't. You know what I mean?
Well, like I'll get to that. But
Yeah.
anyways, I lived in Maple Place, so I was honestly a minute and a half run to my apartment, right, to where I lived. And I remember when the bell would let out, I would run, and fuck, man, they were fast. They'd always catch me and whatever, and they would beat me up, pin me down, throw rocks at me, those pebbles and stuff.
Yeah.
Throw that shit at me, smack me, pull my hair.
I don't
whatever.
remember that,
You don't
though.
remember that?
Wow.
And but you do remember Garnet, later on.
Garner
like,
was a bully.
bullying
yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah.
And then as the nail always getting hammered on the head, you finally I had enough.
You
And we were
snapped.
playing hockey, and he's like, "You fat fucker, you missed the fucking ball. You're fat and useless. You fat piece of shit," and all this stuff. And then I was on defense, and he was forward, and I remember it clearly. He was coming in the boards. I rode him right hard into the boards. Boom. And he stood up. "Yeah, you fucking fat goof or whatever, you want to fucking fight?" And I was like, it was on. I fucking hammered him out, man. With knees, uppercuts, everything. Like he was on the ground. I beat the shit out of him.
Good for you.
I went from zero to
hero.
second toughest in the school on one fight.
Yeah,
behind Marco.
And 75 seconds too, right?
Yeah.
And but that wasn't the only time. So like he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get my fucking brothers after you. I'm gonna get my." Remember he's threatening with his brothers with Christian and shit. And I was just like, "Oh fuck, here we go,
darn
right?"
it.
Just get another one, a bigger one, right?
Like I'm grade 7, and fuck, man, now I gotta deal
Grown
with your
men.
deal with your grown ass brothers.
Little mustache brothers.
But yeah, he and then after that, me and Colin just became friends, and he no longer bullied me. He actually sometimes protected me.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But and so the animosity part of it came from Garnet, not from myself, because from that point on, I always beat the shit
I felt
out of him.
it from him to you, not
Yeah.
more you, the other way around. That's what I meant, right?
Because he also was drunk one time and tried to get all tough with me, and this is like, I think this was like grade 11.
Yeah.
Like, remember we used to have parties at my dad's house down in
On Oriole?
on Oreo.
Yeah, I remember that.
And he used to get all drunk and try to fight me.
Go tough guy, right?
Every time I just toss him right on his fucking head,
That's
get on top of
awesome.
him, hold a punch above him, and be like, "You're done." Like I would beat the shit out of you. And that was my thing with bullying, and it was pretty bad. And if I didn't stick up for myself at that particular moment in time, I would have probably been bullied for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's what happens. You
At
gotta
some
stick up,
at
right?
some point, you got to just say, you know what, fuck it, man. I'm gonna roll with it and see what happens.
Yeah.
I got a fucking bad one here. I'm skateboarding. I'm probably fucking grade 6. I'm skateboarding on Dead Man's Path, and there's this fucking guy this guy's a beast. He's probably about 30, 34 years old, built like the Iron Sheik type of body. Like it's just a fucking big man.
Fuck you, Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, a grown ass Italian guy. Had weight to
right.
him. Probably 260, 280, and I'm like fucking 80 pounds, right? I skateboard. This is fucked.
I know. I'm just laughing because it's like,
know,
why
it's
is he picking
funny.
on you? Right?
Well, here's the thing. I'm skateboarding by him.
Sorry, how much did you say you weighed?
80 pounds.
30. He's about 30 pounds back
Okay.
then.
So you
Soaking
embellished
wet.
a little, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
80 pounds. So this guy grabs me off my skateboard by the throat and fucking choke slams me onto the fucking grass right by the Dead Man's
Like
Path.
Undertaker's you.
Like just boom. I remember fucking almost crying. I had tears coming out of my eyes, and I was fucking concussed a little bit. And I looked at him. He goes, "Have some fucking respect when elders are walking by you." And I looked and I go, oh, I know this fucker. I was like this. He walks away. 2.5 hours later, I see his kid. And his kid was built like fucking Terryberry back in the day. Fucking fat, chubby.
You're bullying me now. Like, what a fucking
I know,
asshole.
what an asshole, right?
At first, I thought it was Terryberry.
Yeah.
But I ran up on this guy. I ran up on him, and I fucking pounded this kid out right at Despina's apartment building. Now I look back at it and go, fuck, that was mean, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But at that time, I was fucking crazy as a little fucker, right?
So bullying caused bullying.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So I hammer this
Weird.
kid out. I hammer him out real bad where he's crying, bawling, screaming for his dad. Fuck, his dad's up in the apartment, starts to run down. I fucking book it. For 2 weeks, this guy was trying to fucking track me down. He would come to the swimming pool when it's in there, and I would jump out, grab
Exactly
my coat,
right.
and
And you
I'm
go, right?
dodging him for 2 fucking weeks. Finally, he comes up. He has a $50. Swear to God, man, he has a $50 bill. And he fucking like dangles it. I thought I was getting tricked, but then I was thinking, well, fuck, $50. I'll take a beating for 50
Right,
bucks,
right.
right? So maybe I'll just trust this guy.
Yeah.
He goes, listen, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to hurt you. I apologize for what I did. I should not have done that. Here's $50. Protect my kid. If he gets bullied, keep an eye out for him. And I swear to God, it went
Weird
down
how
like
that worked
that.
out, man. That's weird how that works out, right?
yeah.
It was weird, man. It was fucking weird.
It was.
Yeah, I had a bowling story one time that involved what we used to call the CCP, or AKA the Cool Crowd Posse.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And they were a group of guys that went to high school, and they wore the ball caps and the cool starter jackets, and they were the cool guys. They got all the chicks and whatever, right? So I would think I was in grade 8, and I was walking home from high school. So I'm coming through this little kind of shortcut that's kind of behind Cumberland Hall, and it used to be the Hasty Market, man.
Yeah.
Right? And all of a sudden, Strawn Syme's like, give me your overalls. And I'm like, what? He's like, give me your overalls. And I'm like, what? And him and Dean Turco start to unbutton my fucking pants, right? And then I'm like, Trevor Felton's standing there, and Trevor Felton's like, I wouldn't do that. And I wouldn't do that, right? He's like, gonna go get his older brother, right? And at the time, my older brother and his friend Phil was this like military style guy that was getting ready to go to the war, and he was like maybe 20 or 19 at the time. And I kept telling him, man, like, stop doing that. I'm gonna go get my brother, right? Because I didn't know, like, these guys are gonna kick my ass, right?
Yeah.
So I will thank Dan Green on this podcast now, because he saved my life that day. I ran home, I grabbed Dan, and Dan and Phil came down there, and I swear to God, I've never seen Strawn Syme, Dean Turco shit their fucking drawers. Because Phil came down there looking like Guile from Street Fighter, you know what I mean? Tank top, fucking buzz cut, and combat boots.
Oh,
right?
I remember that guy, actually.
And one time, Phil was getting bullied in high school. This kind of the same way that you were getting bullied by Garnet.
Yeah.
And he was getting bullied every day after school by these two guys. He used to drive this Camaro, and he beat the fuck out of both those guys, right?
Yeah.
Pounded their heads off the front of the car. Long story
Guy
short.
meant business.
He meant fucking business, right? So when he came down, I never got bullied again, man. But it's weird thinking that it was Dan that was they were actually scared of Dan.
Yeah, yeah.
When I mentioned, I'm like, I'm Dan Green's brother. They're like, oh yeah, he's the older guy, man. He's gonna come down here, and he actually did, man.
That's awesome.
Rolled down in the Acadian. Yeah. So.
Yeah, like I do remember this one skinny kid that we hung out with in Guildford Park, and he went away to go to paint in Toronto with his dad. And this is grade 10.
Right,
so
right.
then he came back in grade 11, and he came back with a chip on his shoulder, wearing a trench coat and a chip on his shoulder.
Yes, I remember that guy.
And CCP's just ruling the roost, right? Like,
yes.
They're walking around, and anyways, they were bullying all of us, and they went up and tried to bully this kid that they bullied for years, right? And this kid had enough of it and fucking punched the first one out. Sorry, Ryan Krause, you're done. The other guy who chirped up was like, "Oh yeah, fuck, you're the Rick Sims. Sorry, you got punched
He
out."
bullied me too. Thank you, Marco.
Yeah. And then there was a few more that got fucking bullied, or a few more that got beat up that day, and it was Marco. He finally had enough of being bullied by CCP. He was hunting them down in the hallways of Guildford Park.
Yes, with his long
punching
hair.
them out.
John Wick.
And then check this out. So we're at the end of, so now it's the end of the day, and you have me, Marco, Jeremy, Lucas, Chris Sawatsky, and I think Brad and Daryl were on their way up there because they weren't going
tough
to
little crew, bro.
They weren't going to school at that time. And Mike Hutchison.
Mike Hutchison too wasn't a slouch.
But Mike Hutchison knew what was going to happen there because all the word spread. We're going to get these guys after school. We're going to get these guys after school. So Mike's like, well, fuck that, man. I'm going to call up Jackie. Yeah, be
Called
here.
up Jack Hutchison?
Hutchison. Be here at when school's out because we got a bunch of guys who want to kick the shit out of us, right?
Wow.
So I remember they were all lined up. We were all lined up, and Rick Sims was fucking beaking off again, and I think you cracked him again right there as they were all we were both toting sides, like toting the lines, right?
Yeah.
And he mouthed off and he got it again, and then all of a sudden we're like waiting. How come these guys aren't fucking coming after us? And then there's Jack Hutchison in the back, sitting on the back, standing behind us, right?
Plus, we finally stood up for ourselves.
That's what it was.
But here's the thing: like we all like those guys. Like we all grew up with those guys.
I partied with those guys.
Yeah. So like, and you know, let's not fucking like, you know.
I'm not bashing them.
No, that's what I mean, right? Like, so when we were in elementary school, like we were all friends. Corey Perry, Randy Kilroy, we were
like for instance, Paul Graham.
Yeah.
And Bobby Lipiak used to fucking bully the shit out of me. But now me and Paul are great friends.
Yeah.
You see, it was a rite of passage.
It's a rite of passage.
Yeah.
But for those guys, with Paul Graham, it was never rough bowling. It was like, you know, he'd knee a couple times, give you a couple shots just to say, you know, like I'm still here, man, you know. So I like the way he bullied me. Honestly, I found it okay, right?
See, like with Shane O'Donnell and all them, like you know, the people we went to Guildford Park with, it was a rite of passage to bully, but sometimes it went too far.
Yes,
and that's when fucking like Ryan Krause and Rick Sims,
they were relentless.
Like what fucking right do you have? Like honestly, if we weren't scared of them back then, they would have been punched out in grade 8.
That's what I mean. And I remember him and Ryan Krause pushed me into a locker one time and split my lip open. And like it's like when someone spits in your face, you never forget it, right?
Yeah.
And to this day, if I see Rick Sims, he just walks the other way. He don't even look at me because he remembers that I remember that he did that to me.
Yeah.
Like I'll never forget it, right?
Yeah. But yeah, it was cool crowd. Posse was not cool from that point on.
Remember in the high school dances? Remember in the high school dances? They get on the bleachers and they'd all sing the New Kids song, "Hanging Tough." Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, they get on and they'd all do it together. Oh, how
cool is that?
How cool is that?
It was. They were actually pretty cool.
They were cool.
Like to be honest though, they got all the girls.
Yeah, we wanted to be a part of them too.
Yeah, but that's just it though. The main thing is that fucking we grew up.
But we flipped
guys.
that on them because as we got a little older, those guys kind of wanted to start hanging out with you. That's how it started to be because I remember.
Oh yeah, lots of people wanted to come to your parties,
my parties, and everyone else's, and it was not about those guys anymore. Right?
Yeah.
And I think it's a lot to do with high school too. You're in grade 8. They were like 2 years older than me.
Yeah, so they're grade 10. We're in grade 8.
Of course, you're gonna look up to them, right?
For sure, man.
Some of them are cool too, right?
I honestly, I don't have it. I really don't have anything.
Like
bad
I still
to say
see
about any
Kilroy. I still see Corey Perry all the time, right? I see those guys a lot.
Corey's at my house. I think in when was that? Oh, May maybe, March.
I know I was there, and Kilroy was at your house that time we were there.
Yeah,
it was for your birthday or
Kilroy comes over and visits.
I think it was your birthday.
But Corey Perry came by with him one time, and that was pretty cool.
I see those
He's still
guys
funny
a lot.
as fuck, man.
Like
he
Eric
stepped on my
Malone, love
fucking
that guy.
cat. He stepped on my cat. He was telling a story, walking backwards. He's like, yeah, and I was just doing this and this and this, and all of a sudden, rear. He's like, oh fuck, didn't mean to step on your cat, man. Randy's just shaking his head like, oh fuck.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, those are some cool cats. So we're gonna.
But I do have a bullying story.
Let's go on to this one.
Okay,
this one is very usable.
Yeah, I do have a bullying story.
Okay,
I was going to cash in my bottles. Remember the 2-liter bottles that had the fucking hard plastic on the bottom of them, you know? And it was hard plastic. And I was walking just by that little shack in Holly Park there's where the washrooms are, right behind the cross box.
In the middle there, yeah.
Yeah. And I was going towards the store to cash in my bottles. And Randy Kilroy and Stuart Thompson.
Remember Thompson
and Stuart and Dave Thompson? Well, Stuart Thompson and Randy stopped me and they're like, oh, what do you got there? And it's like, fucking, you know, it's a bag full of bottles. And they pulled out like a couple Canada Dry bottles and they fucking whapping me on the head with those hard
Those
ends,
things
right?
fucking hurt,
They
bro.
fucking hurt. I had lumps all over my head, man. I looked like the Elephant Man after the fucking that. And felt
Rocky
like
Dennis,
it anyways. And so anyways, after like, like fucking breaking down in tears and they're still whapping me with this shit, all of a sudden this fucking guy comes in there like Superman. And he's riding a red line, but he had one foot on the seat and one foot on the handlebars, and he was just fucking surfing. And then he flies off, lets his fucking bike go, and he's like, "What the fuck are you guys doing, man?"
As the bike's rolling down.
As the
right?
bike's rolling, he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Love
and
that.
they're like, "Nothing." And the guy's Marco, my friend,
Saved your life
and he's
again.
he's like. And he sees me crying, right? And he's like, "Yeah, you fucking guys like that shit." And he grabbed 2 bottles and whap up, whap up, whap up. And he was hitting them on the head with it and everything. And they're almost crying, but they just decided to run away. I'm sure they ran away crying. I brought that up to Randy, and he's like, "Oh, I fucking totally remember that.
That's
man.
hilarious.
I totally remember
It did.
that."
It probably did look really cool though, because like I was on the handlebars surfing, and I see Rob get beat up, and it was a good 20 fucking 30 fucking.
So you had
yards.
time to get some speed,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, and I was like, oh yeah, and I jumped off and landed it perfectly.
It's funny.
Yeah.
That was grade 6 though.
Yeah.
Randy had a mustache. He had a mustache in grade 3. That guy, man.
Yeah. If you look up some old pictures.
Oh, it's
Oh, yeah,
beautiful.
I've seen
He could have got us beers in grade 5. I swear to God. He did in grade 8.
I remember.
Yeah, he was getting
Well,
beers.
that's the same thing that happened to Shamir, right? When we went to high school. Because when we went to high school, I can remember him going into grade 8, and he honestly looked like he was a 22-year-old man.
Yeah.
And he got picked on so much. Like, I mean, bullied, right? I seen him fight Isaac Dees one time.
Oh, jeez.
That was a good fight, right? And he actually
Jesus.
put up a pretty good fight, right?
Wow, 'cause
But
Isaac Dees was
Isaac
no
ended up
slouch.
clobbering the shit out of him near the end, and that wasn't really so much of a bullying thing. That was, I think, Shamir bullying Isaac a little bit.
Oh, wow.
And then this Isaac met him after school one day and was like, "Yeah,
Are you sure that was
Who was
Shamir
that?
or was it
was-
Alan Fernandez?
No, it
and
was.
Isaac?
It was. Who was that? It was in. I'm pretty sure it had to be Shamir because someone in my grade. But he kicked the. It started going good, and then Isaac just started kicking the shit out of the guy. And I think he did it right in the school.
Yeah, that's
But
crazy.
all I'm saying is that kind of bullying, just because you look older or any of that stuff, it's just crazy nowadays, man, right? And I can imagine being a kid going to school and not having the nicest shoes or, the up-to-date stuff. Imagine the bullying the kids go through now, right? So
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and and here's the thing is, so bullying sucks, and no matter what,
Yeah.
if
hey,
you get
first
bullied
off,
for-
though,
But it
can
makes
I-
it tougher. It makes it tougher.
Can I say something
Go
though
ahead.
too?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Here's the thing, like I got fucking bullied a lot. Like we were little.
So did I.
Like, you know what I mean? Like Davis was fucking ruthless, man. There was guys that drowned you in the pool. You,
Professional type bully guy.
yeah, like you come
yeah.
up fucking crying,
Yep.
thinking you're gonna die.
Yep.
Like you were under there drinking water, right?
Yep.
And then the shitty thing is, then you kind of do it a little bit too, right? Like I wasn't crazy bully. I always thought I was fucking like.
I could never do it because I wasn't sizable enough to do it.
I
right?
tried to help people, but there was instances where you know what? I crossed those boundaries where I shouldn't have done what I
Sure,
did.
we all have.
right?
I
We all
have
have.
definitely.
Yeah.
But
So let's just get that straight, so we're not looking like
No,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
ain't like I can't say that me and my friends haven't been around and bullied somebody because I
sure.
remember bullying Richard Briggs one time at basketball, and this was in grade 8.
Yeah.
And Richard went home, and this is back in the old school, and
I love Briggs.
right in front of the old office. We used to hang out there after practice.
Yeah.
And we were bothering Briggs and ended up taking his football and throwing it at his head and just being assholes to the guy, right?
Yeah.
This is in grade, I think I'm in grade 9 at the time, right? And we're all still hanging out there laughing about it. And he went home and grabbed a hockey stick. And he came back, and in front of the old office used to be a metal pole.
Yeah.
That was like in between.
Yeah.
Remember what I'm talking about? And all of a sudden we're standing there and we hear this wham on that pole. And I turn around and there's Briggs standing there with a hockey stick, and Dean Quashie and everyone else is hopping over that little window you used to go up to talk to the secretary.
Yeah.
They're all behind the office, and I'm like, hey man, it wasn't me.
Yeah.
And he's after our Dean, and like he's gonna kill him, man.
Yeah, he was going nuts.
Right? So I'm just saying you can push someone to a point like that, and you can do detrimental harm to somebody, bullying them like that over and over and over, to the point where they could maybe even want to take their life or something. You know?
Or
I have a story about him, and we were down at Substop, and it was lunch break from school and whatever, and it was just after Christmas break, and he came down, and this was my first interaction with that guy, and this was grade 10, and he came down to Substop, and he was talking, and he went up to Marco. He's like, Marco, I never asked you for anything. He's like, but was it Harpinder stole my Walkman. Harpreet stole my Walkman. He just took it from me, and Marco's like, what? And it was one of those Sony yellow Walkmans.
The ones that you go underwater with, the waterproof ones. Yeah, so I remember that.
It was the expensive one. And Marco's like, what? He's like, ask him when, where. He's like, up at Dairy Queen.
I remember this now exactly.
And now Marco's like, so there's me, Marco, Alex Duran, Lucas and Lance and everything. So we all go up there, right? And he's like, who took it? And he's like, he took it. And so you went up to, I'm sorry. Who was
it? It was 100% Harpreet. Now that you guys are bringing it back and you told me how it's happened, it's all in my head. It was Harpreet, 100%.
Yeah, he's like, Harpreet took it. And so Marco went up to him. He's like, hey, man, give back his fucking Walkman. And he's like, fuck you, Marco. I remember saying, fuck you, Marco. And I remember you just looking at him being like, you stupid son of a bitch. Boom! You popped him right in the face, split him open, grabbed the Walkman, handed it to Richard Briggs. And from that point on, the motherfucker never stopped hanging out with us.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that he never stopped hanging out with us.
Yeah, he didn't. I remember that.
I just want to say,
he's a generous fucking person.
I love Richard.
Good-hearted.
I used to play basketball with him, right? On the basketball teams.
Well, like, people won't call this, you can call this bullying all you want, but he was our friend, right?
Right. Yeah.
So friends do pranks on each other.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember when I had that little Ford Ranger pickup? I had this Ford Ranger pickup I bought off Kevin Atkinson. And
I remember that thing.
We used to drive up and down, like we just drive all over the place, and whatever. But there was only room for two comfortably in the cab. So Richard Briggs would be, I want to go too. I want to go. We're like, yeah, for sure, but you have to ride in the back, right? And it's raining, so get under the tarp, right? So he's under the tarp. He's holding the tarp down, and we would pick up hitchhikers, and we'd be like, "Yep, get in the back,
but get under the tarp."
Get under the tarp. Most of them, some of them would be like, "Oh my God, there's someone back there. Just get in the back. We'll take you to wherever you want to go." And he would be back there having full-on conversations with these people for like 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Right?
Honestly, I don't know anybody that didn't like fucking Richard Briggs. Like, once you got to know him, man.
He was fucking awesome.
Awesome,
He
man.
still
I
is
remember
awesome.
one time going into Dulce Vita's.
We're going to get him up in the fucking studio.
When I was a
man.
young guy, I was taking a date to Dulce Vita one time, and he had some pretty cute little girls he used to date and stuff. So,
Oh, yeah.
he's a longshoreman. I still talk to him online.
Oh, yeah. He makes mad money.
Let me tell you something.
He lives in Abbotsford.
I'll tell you something. When I was going through my divorce, not divorce, but breakup after 20 years or whatever you want to call it, I would be on Facebook posting sad sacks, whatever, right? And he actually messaged me one time, and he was like, hey, if you need a friend and you want to come out, give me a call. I'll take you out anywhere you want to go. Just tell me, you're a good-looking guy. Like, what the hell are you sitting there crying for? Like, come out with me and, and I just never took him up on it, right?
Yeah.
But just to say thank you, Richard, for that. I appreciate
Absolutely.
that. Right?
We're going to get Briggs up in the fucking
generous.
studio.
Really generous.
Really generous.
He lives in Abbotsford now. He messaged me. I went out to the pub with him a couple times.
Oh, really?
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, he was just totally genuine when he messaged me too, right?
Yeah.
So big up to Briggies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll get Briggs up in the studio.
You got it,
fucking
man.
rights, man.
But I do, I honestly,
Some of my funniest times are with that guy.
Me
man.
too.
And I love all the CCP guys.
Oh,
I love.
yeah.
We should get a little reunion of them up in here. We could probably get
I love Kobe, man.
Kobe.
He's one of my favorites.
Kobe's good because Kobe would
And
tell you some
Eric.
good stories. Right? Eric,
They all are, man.
Yeah.